everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Leaders Corner, hosted by me, Allison.
And me, Renee, from Leaders Fluent. In this podcast, we delve into the world of business, leadership, and entrepreneurship. And today we are honored to be joined by the founder of Apologue, James. So to kick off the episode, we're always super excited to learn about our guest as an individual and a student. So we'd love to learn a bit more about you.
For sure. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. So my name is James. I was born and raised in Malaysia, moved to Canada 7 years ago, for university. I went to UBC, did business and solder, did marketing. I also did a minor in psychology. And growing up, I've always, liked entrepreneurship. I think that's because my dad, he's the definition of, start from the bottom. Now we hear, he was doing construction and a bunch of other things and finally started his own business and was able to put me through school. So I think I was surrounded by a lot of that growing up. I've always been into that. So I went to school 4 years, came out, and towards the end of my university experience, when I was about 6 months away from graduating, I was in a pretty low point in my life. I felt really lost, not knowing what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do my own thing, but everybody around me was, landing opportunities in big banks and big everything, right? And everyone seemed super happy. And I felt like, maybe that is what I want to do. And I felt super lost. And, around the same time too, I lost a friend actually to depression, and we'll get into that a bit later. But yeah, so all of that happened, and I met a mentor at the time, and I dove into this world of personal development. And that sort of brought me out of that dark place. And that is the reason why we decided to start Apologue. And now I've been running Apologue for close to 3 years now. We help students to better identify what they want to do in their lives, in university and beyond. Outside of that, though, I do have a full-time job. I work at Meet Me. It's not a dating site. We sell meat online. We work with local farmers and we deliver meat to people's doors. So I've been doing 2 jobs, still really passionate about entrepreneurship. That is my end goal. But I also have a full-time job just to see what it's like. I know it's pretty long-winded introduction, but that's me.
No worries. I'm super excited to learn more about your story, and because I read on your website, and I think what you're doing is really amazing. As a high school student myself, I think that it would be really useful to have these services available for us. And I also learned that you have a very interesting job. You are a Neuro-Linguistic programming certified personal development coach. Am I right?
Yes, it's a mouthful.
Yes. So would you be able to explain what exactly this job entails and what do you do?
Yeah, for sure. So the certification that you just mentioned is just I think about coaching and the work that I'm in as like any other coach, right? And everyone has their own, methodology. Everyone has their own set of tools that they use when they work with whoever they're working with. So at least for me, when I started out, it was all like, hey, I've been there. I was in a bad place. I know what I don't want people to feel. I know what I had to learn to sort of come out of that dark place. So in the beginning, I was just really teaching and sharing based on experience and also based on what my mentors were teaching me at the time. So just sharing that. But I knew that I had to become a better coach so I can teach my students or potential students better. So the certification that you just mentioned is really just a part of a toolkit. And so for that, NLP in short is all about understanding communication styles better. So it's a sort of practice that is, really pushed for by, well-known names in the personal development space, like Tony Robbins. I'm not sure if you heard of him. So Tony Robbins, people like that. So if you're in personal development, you'll know that he is like the Michael Jordan of coaching, basically. So he really pushes for that. It's really about understanding how people think, how people associate pain and pleasure, how people look at situations and people's map of the world, right? How do you understand different things or different situations that happen to you? So it's like a deeper form of communication, understanding a lot more about what people are saying, what people are thinking. So that's very important for me to learn, because when I work with students might be saying one thing, but they might be feeling or thinking something else. And me learning these kind of things and understanding different situations, I'm able to better read the student and better offer like some form of solution or advice. So it's really that. It's just like one piece of a toolkit that I use, but I'm always learning a bunch of stuff, always taking part in personal development workshops myself so I can be a better coach for my students. So yeah, I know it's a mouthful to say, but it's really at the end of the day, I'm just a coach, like a personal development coach. That is just a piece of the toolkit.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see like how many different layers there are to it. Like, of course, you have the certification, but there's like so much more to it to be able to help people, which I think is great. And we would also love to hear more about your business journey and what your organization's all about. Maybe different aspects of it, such as the Growth Accelerator Program or the one-on-one business coaching services as well.
Yeah, for sure. So when I started out, I wanted to be. So when I first started out, I really didn't turn it into a career, to be honest. Like I was in a bad place, and then I came out of it. I was like, okay, man, that was bad, right? I don't want anyone to feel like that. So in the beginning, I was really just making YouTube videos. Actually, I was posting videos every week, just sharing about stuff I learned and stuff I think people should listen to, just to give them different perspective. Like I talk a lot about choosing your specialization in school too, because when you're in university and you're trying to choose a specialization, that's like the biggest decision you probably have to make, or like it's probably the thing that's on your mind 24/7. And if you're in high school, choosing which university to go to is probably the thing that's on your mind 24/7, right? So things like that, just giving different perspectives, sharing my journey. That's all I was doing in the beginning. But obviously, I was talking to different mentors, different business mentors, and I knew that I needed to somehow make it a service, not just for the sake of doing it, but just to sustain this passion of mine, right? And also on top of that too, the reason why we sort of charge for these services is because when you sort of invest in something, you are more likely to work harder at it. You know what I mean? Like as a student, if you invest in a program compared to if you in a free program, which one do you think you'll be more motivated to do? Right? It's probably the one that you probably invested in. So in terms of journey, start off with the YouTube videos, just sharing, and then I started doing workshops. So start to land like speaking gigs. So I think my first workshop, 5 people showed up, which I was super happy. I was like, whoa, 5 people wanted to come see me talk for 2 hours, right? So it's really cool. I was doing workshops for a bit, and then it grew and grew on that workshop gig, like before COVID, obviously, when we could see people in person. So we were doing workshops, 5 people, and it went up to speaking to like 400 people at once, which was really cool. So we're doing workshops. And then before COVID, I was like, okay, I've been looking around and I see a lot of different mentorship programs out there. And I've been involved personally in a lot of different mentorship programs. And I realized that there are a lot of missing pieces that I wished I had when I was part of this program. So I wanted to create a mentorship program that students really need, and students that align with what students need at that point. So I ran a survey. I spoke to over 100 students, asking them, hey, what are you struggling with in school? What do you think about? What do you worry about, right? What keeps you up at night? Things like that. So did 6 months of just talking to students and students that I was already working with through the workshops and things like that. And then we created a program called the Growth Accelerator Program. And it is a mentorship/coaching program where we talk not just about personal development and like helping people grow, good habits, build good habits, build like a stronger sort of mindset when you go to tackle different problems in your life, whether it's choosing a specialization, finding your first internship, finding your first job. And on top of that, on top of personal development, that program also has a professional development side of things. So we do work on resumes, we do work on cover letters. I connect you with professionals in the industry for you to get referrals and things like that. Because I understand, yes, personal development is what I'm about, but as students, we all want that first job. We tie a lot of our purpose, a lot of self-identity in that first job, that first internship, right? It's like huge, like, for a student. So I understand that's important. And these all came from those interviews that I did. So I managed to combine it together and launch the program in early 2020. and it's been really cool since. So that's one thing that we offer. We also still do workshop, although it's virtual now, and we do a bit less of it because virtual, in my opinion, is a little bit difficult to run a workshop and to have really engaged students. But we still do it from time to time. And the other thing that we have is called it's like a one-on-one business coaching. So just like Renee, you mentioned that you're really into entrepreneurship. When we were doing our introductions before, and just like me, I wish that I had a lot of guidance when it comes to entrepreneurship as a student when I was back in school. So it's just something for the aspiring student entrepreneurs where we work one-on-one, building a business, things like that. I've helped a few students to develop their own tutoring business, things like that, which is something that I'm really passionate about as well, on top of personal development, which is obviously the entrepreneurship. So yeah, so that's what Apologue is at this point. Obviously, it's still evolving. We've just been around for a few years, but yeah.
Wow, thank you. It seems like your organization has done a lot and changed a lot of people's lives in a very positive way. And it's so great to see people like you who are so passionate with helping others and helping others find their life purpose. So thank you for doing that. We were looking up the definition of epilogue, and it says that it's a narrative that's usually intended to convey a moral. So we're wondering if you're comfortable with sharing. Is there a story behind this? Why did you choose this name for your organization?
Yeah, good question. And I'm sorry if you're expecting like a super deep story. 10 years ago, I thought about this. No, I didn't dream about this name. When I was starting Apologue, and right, the motivation was like, right, I felt like I was losing my purpose in life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was super lost, and then I found it, right? So it was about, how I found it was through, obviously, as I mentioned, through the mentor that I met, and it was really about the stories that I learned from people, and like the morals that I get from that, basically, right? So I was like, okay, if I want to help people figure out what they want to do in their lives, I am going to share my stories. And if there's a moral behind it and you learn from it, then great, right? So that was what that was the whole idea. So to be honest with you, my first idea for the company's name was Fable, because it's like, hey, it's a story with a moral behind it. But there's a restaurant here, it's pretty well known here in Vancouver, called Fable. I was like, man, I don't really want to be associated with a restaurant. So I literally Googled Fables synonym, and this word Apologue came out. I was like, man, that sounds really cool. And that's why I chose Apologue. It's pretty funny because a lot of people mispronounce it. People say, I've heard like apology, apologue, apologue. So it's funny, but yeah, it sounded really cool when I saw it. But yeah, that's how the name came about.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a unique name. I know, like, when I first read it, it got me interested, like, into what your company does and everything. So I definitely think that's working. And speaking of like starting your company and everything, we were wondering, how did you grow your market and your business at first?
For sure, good question. So Apologue wasn't the first business entrepreneurship venture that I started. So again, when I was growing up, I was surrounded by a lot of entrepreneurship, right, with my dad and all that. So when my first business that I started, it's actually in my first year, I started a food business. So at the time, in my first year, back in my day, my first year, Uber Eats, DoorDash, things like that didn't deliver too many things. Or I'm not sure if they really service. When I used to live in UBC, I used to live on res. So if you wanted food delivered, you can only really get like McDonald's or like Domino's, like fast food. That's it, right? I know it. Yeah, it's just back in my day, right? So, so my roommate and I, we decided to, hey, we didn't want to eat fast food all the time, and we wanted to really fill that market. So we actually started a food business where we would cook like Southeast Asian inspired food. My roommate was Thai, and we would sell it to people who live on res. And the whole idea is like, hey, you don't have to always eat junk. You can eat healthier food, and we also make it really affordable. I think it was like $8 a pop, which was really cheap for what it was. So we did that. That was my first entrepreneurial venture. It was my first taste of entrepreneurship, and I loved it. We did that for a while, and then it was summertime and we both had to go back home. So we decided to just stop it there. We learned enough. It was hard work. We didn't have weekends because the weekends were spent cooking and we're just cooking out of our dorm. I'm pretty sure it's illegal, but we we did that. We didn't think too much about it. It was fun, super fun. And then we stopped it. My next entrepreneurial venture is in my second year. And at the time I was super into like magic performance. I'm not sure if you watch like America's Got Talent, like Shin Lim, things like that.
Mhm.
Right, I'm not sure. Yeah. So it was before magic was cool. So it was before magic was cool. So we, my roommate and I, again, we were into magic. We performed here and there, and we decided like, hey, let's start a student organization. So we started the UBC Magicians and Illusionists Association. Right, it sounded super cool in our heads at the time. So we started that. And we were teaching magic to people. We taught magic to people who joined the club, and we also worked with organizations like UNICEF, things like that. We were able to perform on like yachts and things like that. It was really cool. So that was our second entrepreneurial venture. So we got paid, we got hired to perform things like that. So we did that. That was the second, and we stopped that because like we felt like magic wasn't really our passion. We enjoyed it, but it wasn't our passion. So for Apologue, when I started Apologue, I already had experience with starting businesses in university. And this is why, going back to that one-on-one thing that we offer in Apologue is because when we were starting the food business or the magic business, we spent so much money just for no reason because we had no planning. We didn't know what we were doing. So we wasted so much money. I remember we bought for the food business, we bought a bunch of boxes and realized like, oh, this can't be, reheated. So we gotta throw it out. So it was a lot of wasted investment because we had no clue what we were doing. So which is why we place the importance of having that mentorship in Apologue as well. So for Apologue, I already had experience, really in the entrepreneurship space. So for that, when I started, the first thing I asked myself, and this is something that I really drive across with Apologue, with my students and everything that I talk about, you have to always know why you do what you do. Right. So when I started the food business, it was really just like, oh man, let's just do it for fun. Right. It wasn't like a strong why. And which is why, hey, we're going back in the summer, man, let's just not start again. It's too much effort. I want the weekends to go party. It was the why wasn't strong enough. So for Apologue, the first question I really asked myself is, why do I want to start it? Why is it important to me? And I could really answer that. I've been in a bad place. I lost a friend. I don't want anybody to feel like that. I know it's an important space. So that why really drove me to keep going. So again, as I mentioned, when I started, we weren't monetizing at all. We were literally just making videos. Like I was just making videos from my bedroom every week, right? We weren't making any money. The workshops we did in the beginning were free, were completely free, right? So it felt like people around me were telling me things like, hey, man, you've been at it for almost a year. Like, how much have you made? My parents were like, are you making money? Like, you're spending so much time on this, right? And it's because of the why that kept me going. And I think over time, when in entrepreneurship, and this is something for you too, Renee, when you do start your business, which I'm really excited for you to start, it's really that why. If your why is strong enough, you will keep going, right? When the initial high is gone, that like, oh man, I'm gonna start something. 3 months later, that high's gonna go. No one's gonna care around you. Your friends who are supportive at the start, they're probably just gonna be like, oh, okay, cool, we'll support you, but man, we're not gonna be like, hey, keep going, right? So it's really up to you at that point. But I realized that the first step is really understanding like, why are you starting this? Why do you want to do this? And if that is strong enough, you will keep going. And when you keep going, you keep at it, you keep, every day you're building a little bit more, you're building a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. A year goes by, year and a half, and you sort of hit that point where, hey, people are starting to see like, hey, this guy is really serious about it, right? He's been at it for so long. And I think that is really how I was able to go from a guy making videos in my bedroom to actually creating a program that people trust and we've been getting results from, and people are actually giving us good feedback on. Like, people are like, man, this program is great, or Apologue is great, things like that. And it's because it compounded, right? I kept adding to it a little bit more. But it all really boils down to, number one, having that strong why in the beginning. So it's really over time that we're able to get more recognition and build that trust over time.
Yes, definitely. I agree. Finding your why will be your forever, motivation, what drives you. I think for most people, it takes a lot of, reflection and guidance along the way to discover that why. So once again, I think what you're doing is very helpful for you. How do you plan on growing your business in the future? Do you have any goals or future projects?
For sure. So hopefully COVID ends soon and we get things back to, normal where we can host physical workshops again. Like that is one thing that I think I love. Obviously, I love the one-on-one working with students or in our program, like that group coaching thing, but I want to impact more people, right? Like our program, we have just a few students, but when I host a workshop, say to 400 people, if 400 people get to hear what I'm sharing, that's 400 people's lives that I potentially can impact, right? So I'm really looking forward to that when things open up again. I want to do more physical workshops again. That's the goal. Besides that, just really continue to grow our mentorship program. I think when we started in 2020, I was really happy about it. It was really a lot of planning that went into it, and a lot of, it was created again from all the feedback from students. So I was really proud of it at the beginning. And we've been getting really cool results. Like people are landing internships and job opportunities, even in this COVID situation, which I did not plan for because again, when I created that program, I didn't mean for people to, hey, you should get, like, the end goal of this program is for you to get a job. But again, that is like the tangible result that we've been seeing, right? It's the most measurable result, right? Like, oh, so and so got an internship, so and so got a job, right? But obviously, outside of that, a lot of these students are building really cool habits too. So I know from this past year that we've been running the program, we've been getting results. So just really trying to build that further, spread it to more people. That's also the goal. And yeah, just really growing it. We're still pretty small. Again, we've been around for almost 3 years, but a good portion of it, like in the beginning, we weren't a business at all, right? We were literally just making videos and sharing. So now we're just trying to really build it. And as we build, as we grow, we're able to impact more people and hopefully, yeah, continue growing and make Apologue like massive.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I can't wait to see where that goes for you. It sounds like a lot of people could really benefit, and I could definitely see that spreading to a lot of people. And also, just addressing like your past and stuff, would you say that attending UBC and the business program helped you with starting Apologue?
That's a tricky one. I obviously can't bash my, where I went to school. I loved UBC. So I did marketing. Again, I think this is also something I tell my students all the time. In school, the biggest thing that you learn is you learn how to learn. You know what I mean? A lot of the material, yeah, sure, some good framework here and there, but realistically, how much of your first year marketing course would you remember when you graduate? You know what I mean? Things like that. So for me, in school, the biggest thing you learn is to learn how to learn. And on top of that, you learn how to adapt to situations. You learn how to work with different people, right? So for me, I think UBC was a great experience and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And obviously it had an impact on everything that I'm doing right now, right? But it's not, that question is a little bit difficult to answer, right? It's not like, oh, yes, because I went to UBC, because I did marketing, therefore Apologue is where it is today. That's not the case. It's just that whole experience of going to university, the whole experience of having that balanced university experience and not just going to your classes and doing well in your studies, participating in student clubs, going for social events, meeting a bunch of different people, learning a bunch of different cultures, especially because we're in Canada. There's so many different cultures here. At least in UBC, I met people from countries that I didn't know existed, right? There's also a pitbull lyric anyway, but just meeting all the different cultures, trying to learn from different people, that helped me to sort of have a wider sort of map of the world. And I think that somehow helped me when it comes to building Apologue or whatever that I do now. So I had an amazing university experience. I can go on and on about it. But my advice to everybody is to have that balanced university experience, especially for the both of you who are just starting out university, who will be going to university. Focus on balance, right? I think, yeah, focus on balance. That's my biggest thing. So yes, so I would say UBC, Sauder, that experience helped me in whatever that I'm doing now. But it doesn't mean because I went to school and now that I'm not in school anymore, I'm not learning. Again, I'm learning every single day, whether it's marketing for my job or personal development, all that stuff, because you learn how to learn in school. So yes, UBC is great. I love UBC.
I really like your response. It's nice and unique. And as someone who's going to university soon, I'll definitely keep that in mind to keep, a balance between all the different aspects in life. And yeah, one of the main things that I'm excited about is not necessarily the academics, but more so meeting new people and, exploring the world, learning more about the world. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. And this is a question that we always ask our guests. Can you describe a typical day in your life? It's always a bit different for everyone.
For sure. So as I mentioned, I do have a full-time job. So I sell meat online, work with local farmers, and we do e-commerce online. So typical day would be I wake up, get a coffee, start my work, my full-time job. So just on the computer, in meetings, things like that. And then as soon as my work is over, say 5 p.m., I will go to the gym. I come back, and then that is when, like the nighttime, is when I work on Apologue. So this is what happens if you really care about something, or if you want to dive into entrepreneurship and at the same time have a job as well. So at the night, in night, I will have my meetings with students. So students get to schedule calls with me. We work one-on-one for things like that. So I might have a call with a student where we speak for an hour about what they're dealing with that week. How can we make next week better? Things like that. So a lot of hands-on coaching in the evening. And then we will also have so in our program, there's this thing called a Meet a Mentor session, where every month we sit down with a professional from a different industry just to share how they got to where they are today, right? Again, Apologue, hearing stories, and then also at the same time just chatting about how, answering questions that students might have for the from the professional. So we sit down with professionals. So that's what we do. And then outside of that, once the meetings are over, once the coaching, all that is over, at night I'm just really thinking about, okay, what should we do for Apologue next week, right? What kind of, maybe think about social media posts that we want to post about. Maybe think about the next video script, the next video that we want to film. What do we want to talk about? Like maybe now it's like final season. So do we want to talk about dealing with exam stress, for example, right? So maybe creating a script and then filming tomorrow, things like that. So planning out the week, planning out social media posts, marketing posts, videos that we want to film, things that we want to talk about, and also planning a little bit in the future too. Like, okay, when can we host a workshop, right? Should we host a workshop? What should the workshop be about, right? Things like that. So because it's entrepreneurship, every day is a little bit different depending on what's happening, but that is the gist of it. Like a typical evening in my life, I would say, because I have two jobs. But again, on the weekends is when I really just full on work on Apologue. So whether it's filming videos would be on the weekends where I have the full day and sunshine to film. And on the weekends, it's just really about, we also have part of the program. Every week we have a little prompt. So, hey, hey, Allison, this week I want you to read a book, self-help book, 50 pages, right? And then you get back to me next week. So sort of like prompts. So those prompts are delivered in video format. So weekends, again, a lot of filming. So filming those prompts, like, hey, do this, and also filming for our YouTube. So yeah, so I work almost 7 days a week, actually. So that's what it looks like in my life.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you have a very busy schedule. And we are also wondering, do you have any tips to manage your time to maintain a good work-life balance?
Yes. So I live by my journal. So this is something that I actually started doing when I realized that, if you want to run two things, you need to somehow plan your things, properly. So I realized that writing in a journal, right, planning out your day or your week is very important for me. And it's just maybe because I'm old, I don't know, but I like writing things down and like checking it off after. That is one thing that I do. Finding balance in everything. So again, understanding that yes, you do have a lot of things that's going on. So again, understanding why you're doing what you're doing. So there are times where, hey, on the weekends, I see my friends hanging out and doing things, but I'm here working, filming videos. So it's really in those times where you got to ask yourself, like, why are you doing this? Why is it important? So again, I'm always pushing for the why to keep you going. So but again, with balance, it's also very important to have those off days, right? To have those days where you just unwind, take a bath, right? Hang out with your friends, go out for a walk, whatever. So for me, I have that one time, and that is on my Friday night. So Friday nights, it doesn't matter how much work I have, doesn't matter what I need to film, whatever. Friday nights, I don't do any work. So that is like my recharge period, basically. So I might watch a movie, I might, talk to my girlfriend, or I might hang out with my friends or whatever. Just Friday nights, I recharge. And that is very, very important. Even though you might be working 7 days a week, six days a week, you need to recharge somehow. So for me, what works for me is Friday night. That's when I just unwind. And then Saturday, I'm back at it, working, filming, things like that. So journals, writing things down, planning things out, understanding why you do what you do to keep you going and to understand why you're doing it, and taking those period of like time chunks to fully recharge and not burn out. Because burning out is, I have a video on this too, by the way. Burning out is not fun because you know that you have a bunch of things to do, but you just can't get yourself to do it. I've been there. So it's very important to have that balance.
Yes, I think we can all relate to burnout. It's not fun, but I think it's definitely it should be a priority to schedule downtime and just to recharge and, gather ourselves and just to enjoy life. So great advice. And here comes a full loaded question. So we know obviously the transition from high school to university, a teenager to an adult is pretty significant, and it can be very mentally and emotionally challenging. And considering this, what pieces of life advice would you give people who are going through this, or any knowledge, experiences, guidelines you'd like to share? And what would you want these youth to know and keep in mind as they continue to advance in their educational, professional, and personal journeys?
It is definitely a fully loaded question. There's a lot of pieces to it. So I'll answer the first part first. When, say, you're in high school and you're deciding, actually, this can be pretty general advice across the board. So again, as I mentioned, when you are in high school and you're deciding which university to go to, that is probably 70% of your world, right? That is like the biggest decision you need to make in your life, basically. That's probably what it feels like, right? Oh my God, what if I choose the wrong university? Oh my God, blah, 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 right? If you are in university, choosing a specialization, it might probably be 70, 80% of your world, right? Oh my God, what if I choose the wrong specialization? What if I hate it? What if I don't get a good job? Blah, 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 right? When you're about to graduate, finding that first job is going to be 70, 80% of your world, right? It's always going to be different. And I think these like inflection points are going to be you moving into different chapters of your life. And I think the biggest advice I can share is understanding that, yes, these are big decisions that you're making in your life, but 5 years later, you're going to look back and be like, hey, yes, that was a big decision. And I'm where I am today because of those decisions. And understanding that everybody has their own path. And I think the biggest advice here is to understand that you need to make your decision based on what you care about and based on what you value. I think the biggest issue, what I've seen for specialization, for first jobs, for university, is people make decisions based on other people, based on everybody around them. And I think that's very, very dangerous. Maybe not so in choosing a university, maybe not so in choosing a university because, hey, maybe you want to go with your friends, whatever. It might not be too bad, but you got to understand your own blueprint of, say, success in life, right? So this might be more prominent when, say, you are choosing your specialization, right? Personally, so this is a good way to share this advice with you, is to share with you, a little story. So again, I did marketing in school, and when I was about to find my first job in that period of time when I was really lost and stuff, because I was so lost and I saw my friends around me landing opportunities in banks and big accounting firms, I found myself craving the same things. Now, mind you, I'm a marketing student, but I found myself like, man, I want to work in a bank because Catherine over there seemed really happy because she got a job in a bank. So if she's happy, I think I'll be happy too. Do you know what I mean? So this happens so often where people just base their blueprint of success on somebody else's. So imagine, right? If you, and this happens so often, and I have people who are in their late 20s come to me for advice because they graduate from school and they're like, oh, okay, so and so seems happy here, so I think I'll do the same thing. And then they do it, and they're in this job that they're not sure why they're doing it, and they're like, okay, I'm getting a paycheck every month. I'm just gonna keep at it. Boom, they're 29, and they're like, oh my god, where did my youth go? What have I been doing for the past 9 years of my life, right? That happens time and time again, and which is why Apologue, we're trying to catch you and keep you like, hey, before you get to that point, right? That's why we work with people who are 18 to like 22, 20, 23, things like that, before you go into that rabbit hole, right? So the biggest advice here is really to understand your own blueprint of success, right? If you understand, like, I want to be this, and you know that this university is the best for that. But so you also have to understand like what you value in life, right? So it's, again, like the reason why I say it's a very fully loaded question, because there's so many moving pieces. So it's hard for you to say, for me to just tell you one thing, but just to dumb it down as much as I can, say you got to understand what you value, right? If you value relationships, if you know that, hey, you are going to be much happier, you really care about being surrounded with people that you're comfortable with, then maybe that will skew your decision towards a different university, right? Or all your friends are going here, you should. But if you're able to be like, okay, I value my potential career more. Say you understand that this university is much better for this program, but none of your friends are there. So if you value that a little bit more and understand like, hey, for later down the line, that's going to benefit me more, and I'm excited to meet new friends, new people. So understanding what you value, trying to weigh them a little bit, and following your own blueprint based on your values, follow your blueprint of what success looks like in school, what success looks like in your first career, things like that. So for me personally, when I was coming out of high school, all my friends went to Melbourne, Australia to study. And that's because it's really close to Malaysia. So again, I love my friends. I know that I'm super happy with them. But I also understand that, hey, I want to have a true international experience. And that's for me being an international student from Malaysia, right? I wanted to have a truly international experience. And I knew that if I went to Melbourne, I'm just going to hang out with my same friends in high school. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I value that experience, that, and things like that. So that's why I chose to fly like 20 hours to Canada, where I knew nobody. I had no family here. I had no friends here. Came here to a new place, right? And yeah, so again, it was tough. That first 2 weeks, I was like, man, can I actually speak English? Like, man, I might have an accent, right? But things like that. So in the first 2 weeks, I was like, did I make the right decision? And again, going back to why, going back to your own blueprint of success, that is going to keep you there. That's going to keep you like, okay, I know that I made the right decision. So it really all comes down to values, weigh it out, what's important to you. You can't have everything, and understanding that and following your own blueprint to success. And this can be when you're deciding which university you go to, deciding on your specialization, and deciding on your career. And a sub advice, when you do make the decision, sometimes, there's a lot of times actually, you might feel like, did I make the right choice? Did I choose the right specialization? Did I choose the right university? It's going to come, right? The question is going to come. And sometimes it might feel like you might not have made the right decision, but this might sound super cliche, but life has a way of working itself out. And as long as you are following or trying your best to follow your blueprint of success, sure, sometimes you might be a little bit off, but as long as you know why you do what you do, and you're always trying to find that why, and you're always trying to follow your own idea of success, sometimes you might be a little bit off, but you'll always go back, on track. And that's what I've seen, what I've found. No one is ever going, you're not a robot. You can't predict the future. You're never going to make the right, quote unquote, right decisions every single step of the way. And that's okay. Because as long as you know that you're focusing on the light at the end of the tunnel, and that light being what success means to you, you might take a few detours, but as you're moving a little bit closer towards that person that you want to become every single day.
That was beautiful. Yes, I personally really needed to hear that. So thank you. I'm trying to choose my university right now, and I'm definitely doing a lot of reflecting and trying to find my values. So I will definitely process what you said and take that advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that piece of advice really resonates with me. Like when I was choosing a university program, a lot of the other business programs in Ontario, like Laurier and some other ones, a lot of my friends were going there. But at the end of the day, I just really felt like McMaster and the community was like where I belonged. So obviously that's nowhere near as like far or as like new as you going all the way to UEC from Malaysia. But that did resonate with me. It was kind of applicable to my situation, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad it helped. And, I think just some closing advice, right? I'm not sure if your listeners are generally in high school or they might be in university. I think at the end of the day, just go with the flow, go with the flow in a sense that I know, like, it's crazy to see, like, I've been to conferences, some of the workshops that I host, people who are like in grade 9 are stressing out like crazy already about university or about their future, which is good in a sense that, hey, it's great that you're thinking about your future, right? On a personal level, when I was grade 9, all I was thinking about was, when can I play basketball next, right? Who are we playing next, right? So it's kind of crazy to see that it's going a bit, maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but it's moving up. Like, people are getting younger and younger when it comes to, going back to mental health, people thinking about these things that people are stressing about. So I think just some closing advice is, again, always know why you do what you do. Always try to follow your own blueprint of success, what success looks like to you. Just ask yourself, right? What does it look like to you? Where do you want to live? What does it look like? What are you doing? What are you smelling? What are you seeing? What are you eating? Those kind of questions. And understanding that nobody can make the right decisions, and there's no right decision every time, right? You're always going to be, you just got to keep making decisions in life. That's just what it is, right? For me right now, I'm making different decisions myself too. I'm just later in that stage, right? 10 years down the line, I'm going to be at another inflection point, right? As I move into a different chapter. So understanding that you're going to be making big decisions that are going to take up 70-80% of your world from time and time again. So it's just about, in those situations, remembering your why, remembering your blueprint of success. And then when you make that decision, keeping that why and enjoying that chapter. Again, you got to enjoy it, because a lot of times I feel like people make that big decision, they go to this university and they're stressing out about the next thing already. You know what I mean? High school, you go to university, you're like, man, I just got out like thinking about this thing for the past like year, and now I'm here, but hey, I got to think about what I want to do. And then you stress out and you miss out on the entire experience. So again, yes, there will be no shortage of time for you need to make those big decisions. So when you do make one, enjoy that chapter. So again, for those of you who are going into university, who are just starting at university, it is a beautiful time in your life. I miss it every single day. It's such a beautiful time. But make sure that you're having that balance. Study hard, participate in stuff, do things that you never thought you would do, join organizations that you never thought you would join, like get out of your comfort zone, try things, enjoy things, and go to social events. I know COVID is going to be over soon, and it's good that both of you are just starting out university. Hopefully you'll have a on-campus experience. It's just beautiful. Enjoy that, and yeah, just go with the flow and be patient, basically. Oh, and one more thing. This is another quote that I live by. Don't compare your start to someone else's middle. This is very, very important, especially as a student. And especially for me too, it's something that I live by too, right? A lot of times I'm not where I want to be, but then you're comparing yourself to somebody who's like a little bit later down like the line, right? They probably have 2 more inflection points already. You know what I mean? So don't compare your start to someone else's middle.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I always like to remind myself that, timing is different for everyone, and a lot of things in life, it's all about timing, and it's very different for each individual. So definitely don't compare yourself to others, because everyone is on their own individual journeys, and if anything, you should use other people's successes as more motivation, more inspiration to do the best that you can. So we got a lot of motivational words out there. That's nice. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, The Leaders Corner Season 1 Leaderpreneurs. Thank you, James, for joining us and for all the insight about what it's like being a business owner as a, post-university student now.
And be sure to check out apologue.net for the website or at apologue.net on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook.
If you liked our conversation, be sure to check us out on YouTube for the video version of today's interview and leave a like or comment with any feedback or requests for future topics.
And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Be sure to stick around with us and connect at Leaders Fluent on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. And stay tuned for the next episode.
And always remember, leaders are made, not born.
Bye!
Bye.
Hey, did you like this video? If so, click the subscribe button down below.
And make sure you click the notification bell to get updates each time we post. And remember, you can listen to the entire episode on 8 different platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Check out the links down below.
Bye!
Bye.